Good morning, everyone. Hope you've all had a lovely weekend. Okay, well, let's start with our picture inference like usual. Have a little look at the picture I provided you today. And remember, we're going to retrieve, we're going to infer, and we're going to predict. So first of all, you're going to retrieve. Tell me something that you can see in the picture, just something you can see right in front of you. Retrieve that information and then write it down on your sheet or on your piece of paper. Then you're going to infer. So you're going to have a little look at everything you can see, and like a detective, make an inference based on all that information. So that's something that you think is going on because of this evidence and this evidence and this evidence. And then finally, you're going to predict. If this was a story, what do you think would happen next? Remember, that prediction has to be a sensible prediction, preferably based in evidence about with what you can see here on the picture. So do your retrieve, your infer, and your predict. Okay, today's extract is called, it's from a book called Inchtinn by an author called Danny Weston. So let's have a little look at the blurb. It says, Noah and his adoptive mother, Millicent, a best-selling children's author, are finding life hard after losing their beloved captain in battle. Struggling to write a new novel, Millicent insists they head to the remote Scottish island of Inchtinn to find inspiration. Inchtinn means Island of the Sick, on account of it being home to a ramshackle 400-year-old leper hospital, and not much else, apart from rumours of ghosts and unpleasant deaths, and a colony of aggressively protective guillemots. When Noah encounters an otherworldly cave-dwelling girl, a sinister real-life mystery unfolds as Millicent struggles with her fictional adventurer's story. Okay, so it's a really exciting book with a little bit of adventure and a little bit of haunted creepiness as well. So it's really, really cool, this extract. Before we begin, though, we need to know these words: jetty, apprehensively, lilt, encased, voluminous, and malice. If you don't know what any of those words are, you need to go and research them in a dictionary or maybe look them up online. And on your piece of paper, I would want to see all 6 of those words with a definition next to them. So you should have done your picture inference, and now you should have done your vocabulary. It's time now to pause the video and go to the extract and have a little read through. Once you've done that, come back to me here on the video. Okay, I'm going to assume that you've read your extract now. If you've not, make sure you pause the video and go back and read the Inchtinn extract. Okay, let's have a little look at these guided questions together. So number 1 says, what does the phrase distant smudge on the horizon tell you about the destination Mr. Morrison pointed to? Well, if you look at the first page of your extract, in the very first paragraph, that's where that quote comes from. So that's the first thing you should do, go and find that quote. It said, he stared apprehensively across the vast stretch of flat grey water to the distant smudge on the horizon that Mr. Morrison had just pointed out as their eventual destination. So what does distant smudge on the horizon tell us about the destination? Now, it's only 1 mark, so I know I only need to say one thing. A distant smudge on the horizon tells me that it's so far away that it's blurry or it's unclear, or you can't see anything very well. That's what the distant smudge on the horizon. I wouldn't accept any answers like it's too far away or it's really far away. It's more about that idea of it being a smudge. It's so far away, it's blurred and it's unclear. Number 2 says, which 2 similes has the author used to describe Noah's fear? Well, again, that's on that very first page in that very first paragraph. If we have a little look towards the bottom of the paragraph, just after it says he tried not to tremble, it says he didn't want the old man to know how scared he was, but realised that it was probably all too obvious. It clung to him like a bad smell, like an ill-fitting suit of clothes that he could never remove no matter how hard he tried. Now remember, a simile is when you say something is like something else, or as something else, as small as a mouse, or brave like a lion. So there, the two similes that the author uses to describe Noah's fear. It says it clung to him like a bad smell. So like a bad smell was one. And it also says like an ill-fitting suit of clothes. So it describes it both as a suit of clothes and as a bad smell. And then the last one, number 3, says, what does the phrase couldn't bear to be parted from mean? Well, let's go and find that. I can see that quote on the second page in the first extract. It says, the boat was already piled high with all the equipment that Millicent had insisted on bringing with them, and she was still in the house, selecting the last few items that she couldn't bear to be parted from. So what doesn't couldn't bear to be parted from? Well, if you can't bear something, you can't handle it, you can't deal with it. And to be parted is to be separated. So couldn't bear to be parted from means that you can't stand to be away from it. You would miss it very, very much. It's something that you couldn't live without. Now that we've done those 3 guided questions together, have a little go at doing all the independent questions by yourself.